Alrighty, food lovers, what's happening? Welcome to Foodies and Friends, a very, very, very special episode. Katie Stone is here, as always. Katie, introduce our guest.
Yes, you guys, we have Berg from Berg Hospitality, B&B Butchers, The Annie, Trattoria Sophia, Nopo, Turner's, BB Lemon, BB Italia, and 50 more concepts coming next year. Amelia's. This is the guy. And once again, the big kahuna, the big check of the year came from B&B Butchers. Congratulations. I know you go for that every year, right?
Yeah. You know, once you're on top, you want to stay there.
So, sure.
And it's a good one to give. It's the best check to write, right?
It's your favorite check to write. Like totally your most favorite check you've ever written in your life.
Well, now we've written it like 5 or 6 times, but yeah. But it is the best check to give.
Yeah. So you're like the back to back.
Number one.
Yeah.
Not going to give that
Feels
spot
pretty
up.
good.
There's people gunning for you though. There's restaurants that like they want that number one spot.
Bring it on, right?
It's okay.
Yeah, bring it on.
Let's
see what you got.
It's better for the food bank.
Yeah, for sure.
They won't get there, but
to encourage a little healthy competition.
We did the presentation earlier today at the Houston Food Bank, and
here's the check.
Talk about the check. That's a big number.
Big number, and I think it's reflective of restaurants being back. Restaurants are busy. You guys are busy, right? You're having a lot of people come into the restaurant. Didn't get quite back up to the pre-pandemic donation amounts because we wanted to give the restaurants a little bit more wiggle room. It was a really big conversation that we had, you guys, this spring. Ben is on the board of the Cleverly Stone Foundation. Of course, we consult with the Houston Food Bank on the pricing of the menus and the donation. And, this spring, we really felt like we needed to give the restaurants a little bit more wiggle room in helping them kind of come back from the last 2 years. So next year, the donations will be back to pre-pandemic. So that check will be even bigger that you get to write. And it's going to be 20th anniversary next year. So it's a big year.
It's going to be exciting for sure. So Ben,
yes.
What are you looking forward to in the coming year? Like Katie said, you got 50 million projects happening at one time.
Well, right now I'm looking forward to a vacation, but no, we have a lot of exciting stuff coming up. We have an all-day French restaurant coming up.
All-day French.
Well, 3-meal restaurant. We have actually 2 more steakhouses. I have a Chinese restaurant coming out.
Amy Reagan from the Food Bank. She's like, "What's going on
here?" The empire continues to grow.
Yes. No, we love that. I mean, that's amazing.
No, it's such a great city for restaurants, and we've had the opportunity to find some great spaces. And I don't know. We don't want to slow down right now.
Yeah.
Right. We just have to have more restaurants into restaurant weeks.
Ride the wave.
I'm going to pitch you my restaurant concept.
If you've got a restaurant concept, this has got a pitch.
Oh, you want to hear it now?
We love investors.
Yeah. We'll talk
okay.
offline. We'll talk offline. I don't want to slow it down. I know you're busy.
One of the things that I love hearing about, diners that come into your restaurant, specifically B&B Butchers, is just, how much you guys embrace the cause. And, I think that's important for, not only restaurants to know, but for diners to know, that you guys really embrace the mission and what my mom was doing. And you guys were such close friends. Talk a little bit about why it's so important to really embrace, her mission and what she was doing and kind of helps everybody in your restaurant to kind of come on board too.
Well, I mean, obviously it's a great cause, but, I think for me, it's a little different. I mean, some people might know the story, but when I first moved to Houston and I was with a company called Smith & Walensky, my first contact with your mother was I just gotten there, new general manager. I missed restaurant weeks by maybe like 3-4 weeks. And I get a call from her. She's like, "Hey, you owe me money." I'm like, "Who are you?" I just moved here. I don't know anybody money. And then we actually spoke, I think, for like 45 minutes to an hour. And
that first time. Yeah, the first time. And
I said, "Oh, we do owe you money." But I heard about everything and then met her and went on the radio with her. And
you guys became pretty close.
Yeah, we became very close. And then, I got it going a lot at Smith & Walensky. And then when I went out and did my own, this city's given so much to myself, my family. And, to give back in this way is a really great run. And to be honest, I'm competitive. We always talk about in restaurants, we control our own four walls.
Mhm.
We can't control anything outside of that. But Restaurant Weeks gives you the ability to make a difference outside your four walls
Sure.
by being the best inside.
Yeah.
And we pump it up. And listen, it's a crazy 5 weeks for us, but it's worth it.
Yeah. And what's funny is I remember, most people wouldn't know this either. I remember my mom, because, you B&B Butchers was your first restaurant that you opened. And you brought my mom along to the empty shell of a building.
Yeah, she thought I was crazy.
And I remember
Most people did, though.
when that happened, I remember I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? She's like, I'm with my friend Ben. We're in some kind of warehouse and he wants to put a steakhouse in the warehouse.
In
He's
the middle of nowhere.
So yeah, I remember. I mean, so many times in those early years when you're kind of just getting going, I would call my mom and she'd be like, I can't talk right now. I'm with my friend Ben.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's this Ben? Like, and that happened so much, because you guys were, when you were just kind of getting going and stuff.
Yeah, we opened at the end of May. We did Restaurant Weeks our first year, but obviously we're trying to get our feet underneath.
I think you were number 3 that year, your first year.
No, I don't think that year. I think our second year was number 3, and then number 1.
Well, Arthur at Del Frisco's was number 1.
Yeah, but I had to take care of that. That's why Arthur's with us now,
Yes.
too,
Yes,
Yeah.
Arthur is now your vice president.
It's all that inside Houston restaurant scene, inside baseball you never got to hear about. Now this, we're sharing it with all of the viewers right now. So there you go.
Well, Ben,
Yes.
we're so appreciative of your continued support, not only of Houston Restaurant Weeks, but as a board member of the Cleverly Stone Foundation and helping me personally continue my mother's mission and legacy. And I appreciate you responding to my nonstop text messages and emails. And
when I don't respond right away, that means I'm driving. I try to be.
There's
Good
always
like that.
something
Don't text
going
and drive.
on.
Don't
There's always
text and drive.
something
Don't
going
text and
on.
drive.
Yeah, but we so appreciate it. And
Thank
we're so excited for all of your new restaurants coming in the new year that Ruben and I will no doubt come out and take a look at.
Share it with the viewers.
Share it with the viewers. And Houston is just so blessed to have you here and creating and building and providing so many wonderful experiences for people and so many jobs too, and so much money to the Houston Food Bank.
Thank you.
So thank you so
You're doing
much.
great.
Enjoy that
Joining us.
vacation, man.
Yes,
sir.
more vacation.
Careful on the slopes.
Yes.
All right.
We
Watch
are
out for the snowboarders.
We'll let you go.
Right.
We know you've got a meeting coming up here. We're going to swap out and ask our next guest to join us, Mr. Brian Green,
See
the
you.
president
Thank you, guys.
Good to see you,
and
buddy.
CEO of the Houston Food Bank.
Always.
Thanks, Ben.
The stars
See
just
ya.
keep coming. They're lined
Thanks,
up.
Emily.
It's a
Thank
murderer's
you.
row.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys.
See you.
Bye.
Thank you so
All
much.
right. Another local legend probably needs no
Yes.
introduction, but we'll do the formalities. Katie.
Yes, you
Introduce our
guys.
guest.
You guys know this guy. He's all over Houston providing food for people who need it. Brian Green, president and CEO of the Houston Food Bank, and you were a great friend of my mother's as well, and longtime supporter of Houston Restaurant Weeks, of course, along with Amy
Absolutely.
Reagan at the Food Bank. And
Yeah, I do just have one correction.
Yes.
It's actually the truck drivers who are all over the city delivering the food.
You don't actually drive the trucks.
No.
Wow. All this
Yeah.
time I've known
he
you.
wants to. They just don't let
I
him.
thought
My
literally-
previous food banks, actually, I did drive the truck.
Well,
One of the
all
trucks.
hands on deck. I get it. It's like at
They
Fox.
don't let me do that here.
No, rightly so.
All right. Shout out to the truck drivers delivering the food out there.
Yes, they're very important.
So we get to do this every year. I know we look forward to it. It's very important to us as the television partner, and I know it's it's one of the big days on the calendar for you guys.
Well, absolutely. Well, I mean, the month is big because we're tracking the whole time. We know what it means to us from really two angles. The first angle, of course, is taking what was the worst employment time for the restaurant business
Mhm.
and turning it into the greatest.
Very true.
Because the shorter our line is, the happier we are. So,
Right.
we want to see the city prosper. We want to see people who are trying to, provide for their families able to do so. And so Houston Restaurant Weeks being a real catalyst for that is a big deal to us. And then, of course, it's like, it's a neat thing for the city, but then the check at the end. And then we're looking for, well, how big is that check going to be?
Right.
Because that makes so much of a difference in what we're going to be able to do that year.
Because this year, we're at $1,240,000 turns into how many meals?
Well, I was just doing that quick math, and that's like 3.7 million meals.
That's amazing.
7 million meals.
Yeah, it works, for a couple of reasons. First one is, of course, most of the actual labor here is done by volunteers. People want to help, and we're good at providing an avenue for them to do that. It's very large scale.
Right.
But then the other avenue is we buy very little of the food that we use. The food industry is a very low margin business. I can't make it. You can't take $1 and turn it $3 worth of food. That's not possible.
Yeah, it's impossible.
But you can if it's surplus food, and you're at the farm. You're going to the farm, and you're telling them, "Look, will you donate this?" And they say, "Well, but I got to pick it and bag it for you." They say, "Okay, I'll cover your cost to pick and bag it." And then when we do that, we get this huge multiplier on the dollar. So, I can take $6,000 and paying what we pay for them to pick and bag it, plus the cost to transport it in, and then pull in an entire tractor trailer load of produce that may be worth, say, $40,000. So I can take $6,000, turn it $40,000. I can do that because there's almost unlimited amounts.
I'm glad you're doing the math.
That's why he's the president. Yeah. Brian, so you have kind of watched Houston Restaurant Weeks over the years, kind of go, it's, kind of up and down as far as, some years have been, there's been shutdowns, COVID. Some years there've been flooding. There's been a few years where HRW was actually extended into 2 months because of flooding and COVID. But you've watched HRW kind of from the beginning and watched its life. And
actually, that would be like when you're going to be Amy.
Amy's
seen it from the beginning, because I got here in 2005.
Yeah.
So I wasn't here for the
just a couple years off at the end. But talk a little bit about how, did you ever think that this one singular event would become what it is today and what it means
the largest fundraiser that we have.
Yeah.
Well, the word I would use is resilience. And that's, I think it's a very good Houston word anyway. You think about, the tough times. August is not necessarily the most reliable month to hold things because it's hurricane season.
Yep.
And we've certainly, taken a hit there. And then COVID just was, a nightmare. But what's so amazing is kept it going. Even though it was, wasn't able to be quite as successful in every year, but just keeping it going, and the restaurants keeping on going. And you just see how strong the restaurant business is now, despite all of the challenges that they have.
Yep.
It's amazing. And you can see it in Houston Restaurant Weeks, where it went from what was, that's nice, to this is the largest fundraiser we have.
Yeah. And what is so, I think, heartwarming and should be for you is that for so many restaurants, this is their best month of the year too.
Yeah. You take the worst month and turn it into the best month. That's pretty.
Yeah.
That's like, I don't know. That's like the Astros.
I was about to say, take their worst
in
hitter,
2011.
best hitter. It's like, it's a really, really
it's
interesting.
magic, and
Sure,
it takes a lot of people. It kind of takes a village, right? And you all at the food bank, Heather and Amy, and of course yourself have been very helpful in kind of helping to keep this going and to keep it as strong as it is. And of course, our TV partners at Fox 26 too. Yeah.
Yeah. People didn't know about this. It wouldn't work. And it's it is fun just how much it's become something that so many people actually look forward to.
I heard that people are coming in from different states. Like people left Houston because they moved away and they moved to Denver or California. They vacation now in Houston in August.
It makes
sense.
Like
how nuts is that?
But no, think about it. It makes sense if you still have family here or whatever, and you're going to come back to visit. You're like, okay. That's the time.
Except who tells their family, you should probably visit us in August. That's a real good time.
That's a real Houstonian.
No,
that's what that is. That's a hardcore Houstonian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss those mosquitoes.
Really,
just as big as golf balls.
Yeah.
That soothing sound they make when they buzz by your ear.
I love sweating.
I love, when you stick to the seat of your car. God, I miss that. Let's go in August.
Come to Houston.
Let's go.
You'll love it.
There's a hurricane in the Gulf, honey. Call. Let's see if you can get on
reservations.
Yeah, Travelocity. See if we can get a good deal.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No, but it is a thing, you guys. It's a thing.
And kind of looking at the future, you guys, big things coming in the future. Another facility.
Yeah, we're working on that now. It's kind of weird. When we built this facility, it was designed that could take us to up to 120 million pounds of actual distribution. We're running about 150 million pounds now.
Wow.
So we're actually renting. We have a a multi-year lease on a 100,000 square foot building. We know that that is not our solution because we're even kind of capping out there.
Mhm.
And so we're trying to work on the solution, and we think it's going to be even more innovative than this one.
Yeah.
It would be in addition to this facility.
Are you the largest food bank in the country?
Yeah, still by distribution.
By distribution.
By a
what I
significant
thought.
amount, actually. And it's
Yeah.
because of the support of Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also speaks to there being need out there. But
But that's
but
true
this is it's
anywhere.
an interesting country. It's an interesting city because if I and I just got done traveling for the station, and visiting different cities, and you get Houston is, first of all, the footprint is so weird. It's
not like
enormous.
the others.
It's not like
No,
any
it's not.
other city,
No.
really. It's very interesting. So I'm sure that kind of adds
Yeah, the
to the-
logistics are tough.
Challenging.
Yeah.
But a couple of things here, and you can see it in Houston Restaurant Weeks. It's a very positive city.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
People, they believe that they can make good things happen, and that makes it easier for people who are trying to make things. Like
Sure.
when Cleverly was trying to get this going, and you had to get these restaurants to actually take it seriously, and we'll go ahead and do this even though it's not making a whole lot of sense, but we'll do this because we'll see where this goes, and then that's how you get there. So
Yeah.
that, and just the fact that there are just so many successful people and businesses here, and so that helps us take care of the people who are struggling.
Yeah.
There was a moment, and I've thought about this off and on, and because Katie knows this. Cleverly and I talked on the phone just about every
Mhm.
night. For whatever. What are you doing? No, I'm working on the show. What are you doing? No, I'm getting ready for tomorrow. Whatever. We would always chat about stuff, and I remember the day. This had to be probably like 10 years ago that the New York Times article came out. Houston, best food scene in the country. First of all, everybody in Houston looked. Is it April 1st? Is this the New York Times recognizing our food scene? It's not Chicago, it's not Miami,
Mhm.
it's not New York, it's not LA. And that was a very important moment because within a year, I went with your mom to Passon Provisions, and these two chefs who had worked around the world for Gordon Ramsay picked Houston.
Mhm.
They were like, we can get a space here for what?
Mm.
And they don't get yelled as much.
Exactly. And we can source everything. That did a lot to raise our visibility,
Mhm.
our food, our restaurant identity
Sure.
around the country. And they're like, oh, Houston. And that had an impact on Restaurant Weeks because within a year or two, you went from having an incredible scene to having top chefs opening restaurants, and people wanted to dine out more. And so, in my humble opinion, I think that was an important moment.
But Fox 26 had a big part to play in that as
Sure.
well, because back in the day, my mom was the only one out there putting restaurants and chefs on TV.
Bringing people on TV.
That wasn't a thing,
It
you
was
guys,
not.
20 years ago.
It was not.
18 years ago, 20 years ago, that wasn't a thing. And so, when all these big chefs would come to town, my mom would get them because nobody else wanted
Sure.
them. Nobody else was putting them on
Sure.
TV. And so,
But it's all part of the machine.
yeah, it was the belief, right?
Yes.
The belief that, somebody could make a difference. And like you said, in those early years when my mom was out there, hustling, trying to get restaurants who didn't believe, they're like, why are we doing this? They're believers now, it's
And she brought us down to the food bank. I think the first live shot I did at the food bank was with you.
No kidding.
And Cleverly.
Yeah.
She was like, hey, I think we should do something from the food bank.
Yeah.
And so, we had been here before, obviously.
Yeah.
I had not as part of the morning show until she said that we needed to come down here.
Yeah.
So that's what finally got you to the food bank.
It did.
You don't say no to my mother,
Don't say
like,
no.
you don't say no.
You want to take her to an abandoned warehouse or you want to take her to the Houston Food Bank. It all works out.
Yeah.
So, and where are we on time? Are we doing good? 'Cause I know this
we're
guy-
about
this
ready
guy-
for our next guest.
This guy's got to go take care of
for
business.
sure.
All right.
Yeah,
So
well,
you're going to turn over to Amy here?
yes.
Always a pleasure, my
Brian,
friend.
thank you so much. We're so looking forward to next year. Next year is the 20th anniversary.
Absolutely.
Did you realize that? Does that make you feel old? I made everybody else feel
Amy's
old
been
this
keeping
morning.
me abreast of all that. So.
It just
20th
it's
anniversary.
making me younger.
But you know what? We're gonna hit some pretty important mile markers, and so we're gonna hit 20 years. We're gonna hit 60 million meals.
Oh, really?
and we're going to hit $20 million next year, you guys.
Total
Yeah.
over the 20 years.
Yes.
That's a pretty
Yes.
good, pretty
So
good track record.
Actually, we're gonna exceed.
we're going to
not hit.
exceed it.
Exceed.
Yes.
Except
we're
for the
gonna
20 million.
We're
pass
gonna blow it out of the
Yes.
water.
Yes, we are. So
yeah,
of
Come
course,
on, Amy.
Brian, you're awesome.
thank you
Thank you.
again
It's
for
always great to
joining
see you.
us.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate the support,
Keep up the good
Brian.
work.
And joining us now is Amy Reagan, our
Amy
good
Reagan.
friend from the Houston Food
Coming
Bank,
in.
Chief Development Officer at the Houston Food Bank. Thank you so much for joining us and
Thank
for being
you.
here. And
Happy to
we've
be
been
here.
doing a lot of TV today and
A lot of TV.
check presentation.
Yes.
And this is the fun day though, right?
Yes,
Like we have a whole
yes.
year of lots of back and forth and lots of questions and logistics and planning. And then today is the big day.
Yes, it was an exciting day and
Yeah.
such an incredible donation for the Houston Food Bank. We just can be more excited to use those funds to go out and really help our neighbors in need.
Yeah,
I think that, and Katie and I talk about this all the time, that the people in Houston, we get busy with the restaurants. We get busy doing the television and her doing all the enormous amount of work she has to do to pull this thing off. And you kind of forget until like when we were at a food bank recently
Mm-hmm.
and up in Montgomery
Montgomery
County
Food
and stuff,
Bank,
and
yep.
the folks showing up with their donations and
Yeah.
we've done distributions and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And you forget about the actual person on the streets that it benefits, the
Mhm.
actual Houstonian
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
that gets the fruits of the labor, right?
Right. Well, and you don't really always even recognize that person because
Exactly.
it could be, 2/3 of the people that we serve have at least one working adult in that household.
Mhm.
So, a lot of these people, maybe somebody that checks you out at the grocery store, hands you your dry cleaning, whatever it might be. You might see a woman with a couple of kids walking on the street or getting on the bus. And so many people are facing food insecurity in our community. So that's why I think it's so important for the Houston Food Bank to be out there as a safety net, to be out there to really provide getting food out to those people who really do need it. But again, you just don't always know who they are.
Well, Brian
Yeah.
talked about the recession and
Yeah.
how
Yes.
that's hit a lot of people hard.
Yes.
And like you said, you have people that do have maybe one working member of the family, but then you have others that don't. What do you want folks to know that maybe they've never used the resources of the Houston Food Bank, that they're in a position
Yeah.
that,
How do they get involved? And-
So, I think during the pandemic, we saw so many people that sought food assistance, never dreaming in their lives
They
that they would
to.
need it.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are even donors. And so I think, the Houston Food Bank wants to be out there. We want to have everybody understand that we are a resource. And so as much as possible, we want people to have our phone number, our website, so that whether they want to volunteer, they can go to our website. But if they're seeking help, there's a main number they can call, or they can go on the website and seek help as well.
and it doesn't have to be for you yourself. If you're in need, it could be your neighbor, it could
Right.
be somebody you know. And
Right.
I mean, you can pick up food at
Food.
one of the pantries and
Well,
take that for your.
yes, although I think you do have to, yes, neighbors can show that they're going to be bringing food over.
Right.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So there's ways to help.
And
Yeah,
you-
definitely.
You guys
And through
have
our
a really
partners.
great holiday box program too.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, we're coming into the holidays and we raise funds and food to fill a box of non-perishable food. But along with that, we distribute produce and protein. I think this year it's either going to be chickens or turkeys,
Oh,
breasts. But we try to get all that out to the families
Wow.
before the holidays so
Mhm.
that they have it to eat. We do those holiday boxes every year. And we also do a lot of extra food for the children. The last week of school, they take home 2 backpacks if they need the
Mhm.
Backpack Buddy
Wow.
program. Well, we want them to have enough food to help their families last during the holiday.
and
during the
that
holidays
that
when they're
was
out of
just
school.
such a crazy thing
Yeah.
for me to understand that and this is a result of me being involved with this and I just didn't understand that at the beginning that kids get food during the
Yes.
school week and
Right.
then come Friday they may not have food on the weekend
That's
because they're
right.
not going to school. This blew my mind, you guys.
Right.
Like,
So many families rely on breakfast and lunch
Yeah.
at their children receiving it. And so we encounter that too in summer as well. And so our
yes.
summer, during the summer, we distribute something like 10,000 meals out of our kitchen every day. That's a
Mhm.
breakfast, a lunch, and a snack in order to help those children have some food. And we go to apartment complexes and community centers
Yeah.
and, where we know those children are.
Mhm.
And, it makes a huge difference. And this is true for the holidays as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and
Yeah.
that was something that was really, really, I mean, you guys know, was really an emotional part for my mom. She just really couldn't stand to know that there were kids. I mean, in the fourth going on third largest city in the US, biggest food bank in the country, we arguably have more restaurants per square foot than any other big city in the country. And we still have this much need. And that was, why it's so important to continue supporting the Houston Food Bank, because
That's
there's
right.
so many wonderful programs that you have.
Right. And,
Yeah.
I think a lot of programs that we're also working and doing are also programs that are to help people get out of the line for food assistance, because ultimately
Right.
our goal is to really help them have
Break that
the
cycle,
have the
yeah.
food and
Yes.
the the opportunity to access services so that they can get that higher paying job, they can finish their education, get their diabetes under control, because we really want them to be out there being productive citizens in our
Sure.
community. So I think we really are looking at that, and so all of these programs we're really trying to gear that to help people get out of that line.
Because ideally, you guys don't exist.
Well, ideally, yes.
Ideally, none of us are here.
Right. Well, ideally,
Yeah,
we
which
put
is-
ourselves
yeah,
out of business,
yeah.
and that's we have a vision of a world
Sure.
without food banks, and that's aspirational, of course. But at the same time, that's really what we're striving for.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and we've got the number up on the screen.
Thank
there for
you.
folks,
Yes,
Yes,
for
Uh,
sure.
and the website.
Wonderful people waiting to answer the phone and help
Yes.
everybody out. Holidays as well. How are you on volunteers?
So we always need volunteers. They're critical to what we do. We really can't get all of that food packaged and ready to go. And we have had a lot of turnout this week and next week. We're going to be open on the day after Christmas and the day after New Year's. So if families want to come out and volunteer, we're here, ready for them to come out and volunteer. We always need them, but we've also have a lot of groups coming out to volunteer.
Do you
Yeah.
find you get are people more generous around the holidays, or does the need exceed the generosity that may
Well, the need
increase?
always exceeds the,
Yeah.
because we can't begin to meet all the need,
Yeah.
but the generosity certainly swells at the end
During
of the
this
year.
time.
But I say that, and we really have volunteers that come year round. It was the reason it's so interesting now, because during the pandemic, we had no volunteers. And
Mhm.
so we just get so excited when volunteers show up, and we have lots of groups coming out and all these corporate groups.
It
and
was
it's just
busy today.
fun.
It was very
Yes.
busy, and it's
super
fun.
busy.
And more and more,
Yeah.
we're having those busy days every day,
Which is good.
and it's great.
Yeah.
So we're excited. I feel like, wow, we're back to where we were.
I mean, it's such a great team building opportunity. Like
Yes.
a company, even small companies, even, it doesn't have to be a big company,
Right.
right? You can have a smaller size company that maybe wants to take a team
Yeah.
building day and come and
they
work
can
at
come
the
and
food bank.
come
Yeah.
and volunteer, and we have a conference center where people can arrange a room if they want to have their teams eat lunch. We have a catering service here that can provide lunch if they want to do that. So we really and we have a cafe downstairs in the lobby. So lots of opportunity for people to come and make it a fun experience.
They were having fun this morning.
They were.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
They have a lot of
They
fun.
get them going.
So as we wrap up
Yes.
the 2022 check presentation day, I just want to say to you, Amy, thank you so much for all of your support and guidance
course.
over the last few years. I know you were very close with my mom.
Yes.
And
Very
I knew
close.
that for a long time, and she considered you one of her closest friends. And I so appreciate, you guys are always right there when I need you, and I so appreciate that. And I appreciate you willing to listen to all my wild ideas. And
Katie, we're so happy to work with
Thank
you.
you.
This is such an important event. It raises so many funds for
Yeah.
us, and it's an important relationship. I loved Cleverly, and I to this day miss Cleverly, and But we're so excited to be able to work with you and to keep this going. And it's a kind of a win-win for everyone. And so, of course, we're going to support however we can, whatever you need. And, it's really our honor.
Thank you. And we've got 20 years.
I'm really
20
excited
years.
Coming
about
up,
20
the big
years.
anniversary.
20
Yes,
years.
I'm
yeah.
excited.
It's going to be a big year.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
All right,
Gosh.
so we're going to wrap this up because Amy has to go back to work.
Yeah.
And
That check, unfortunately, is not enough.
and
they
But it makes
need
a good
more.
dent.
Katie has to start working on the next one. So
Well, we got Eat Drink.
Eat Drink coming up in
HTX
February. It's gonna be
coming up with-
amazing.
Also benefits the Houston Food Bank and
Star
this
of
year, Children at Risk.
Oh, children at risk.
Yes.
Spreading the love, people.
Swapping it out a little bit. And you guys work a lot with
Yeah.
Children
Oh,
at
yeah.
Risk.
Oh, yeah. Children at Risk
Yeah.
is a great partner
They
of
do great
ours.
things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Bob Sanborn's awesome.
Yes,
and his
Dr.
team,
Bob, and he was friends with my mom as well.
Yes,
and that
and-
was great. And so this worked out really well. And that's kind of my kind of idea about Eat Drink is to swap out that other beneficiary every year and try
Very
to kind
thoughtful.
of
Sounds good.
spread it around a little bit to some of the smaller orgs that
It's a great idea.
might need some help and we appreciate you all so much for once again being the beneficiary of Eat Drink HTX. And it runs February 15th through the 28th. It's the casual dining version of Houston Restaurant Week. So arguably a bigger restaurant pool because it's, lower price
point.
dining and there's potentially more restaurants at the lower price point than the higher price points in Houston.
And it's another reason to just dine out and do
It is. So
Oh, yeah.
live coverage for Eat Drink HTX begins right here on Fox 26, the beginning of January.
We're out of here, guys. We'll see you next week.
Woo!
Bye-bye.
See you
Happy
guys.
holidays.